Look, if there's ever been a metric that you need to be optimizing now, it's LTV. LTV stands for lifetime value, and it's a measurement of the amount of revenue that you generate on average from your customers over a specific period of time. And LTV is what's going to allow your business to win out against your competitors in the long run. But why is this the case? Well, the cost to acquire new customers is increasing, right, due to rising advertising costs and increased competition. And while yes, there are many things you can do to lower your customer acquisition cost, you must also focus on increasing LTV on the back end. In this video, I'm going to be sharing 3 ways to increase LTV on your Shopify store. Before we get into the video, if you're a new viewer here, my name is Jordan Hayes. I run an e-commerce marketing agency. We work with a handful of e-commerce brands and we help them scale through both customer acquisition and customer retention marketing. And just to show you some proof that I can speak to the topic of LTV, here's a client we're currently working with. As you can see, we generated over $2.5 million in the last 90 days. And here you can see that around 24% of that is coming from email marketing alone. Okay, so before we can actually dive into the ways that we can increase LTV, we first have to understand a few different things. So the first thing is LTV is only useful when a time frame is assigned to the value, such as a 30-day LTV, 60-day LTV, 12-month LTV, okay? Now, by assigning a time frame to LTV, you will know when you will realize that value or revenue from your customers. This is why it's so important, because if you don't have a time frame and you just have an LTV number, then you don't know when you're going to actually receive that value, okay? And what this means is that you can plan out your new customer acquisition strategy, among other things, when taking into account what your LTV will be at specific points in time, right? It allows you to be a lot more strategic with your planning, and you know at a certain point what value you're going to achieve from your customers, okay? So let's look at some benchmarks for LTV, because yes, we have these different time frames, but what does it mean when we actually put these into benchmarks themselves? So for a 30 or 60-day LTV, the benchmark, the gold standard, is a 30% higher than the first purchase AOV. So let's just say that your first purchase AOV is $100. To get a 30 to 60-day LTV that is 30% higher than the first order AOV, you would need $130 LTV, right, for 30 or 60 days. Okay, the reason why I say 30 or 60 days is because for some brands, to have a 30-day LTV become a lot higher is unrealistic, depending on the products they're selling, and a 60-day LTV makes more sense. And for other brands where maybe it's more of a consumable product and there's a renewal period every 30 days, it makes more sense to have that as a metric. You can also do 90-day LTV. If your 90-day LTV is also similar to like the 30% higher than the first purchase AOV, it's also good. The other one is a 365-day LTV, so it's 12 months. And the gold standard here is for that to be 100% higher than the first purchase AOV. So going back to the first example, if our first purchase AOV is $100, the 365-day LTV target, 100% higher, would be $200, right? So our LTV over a 12-month period would need to be $200 for us to hit this 100% benchmark. So hopefully that gives you some insight into, first of all, assigning timeframes, right, to your LTV numbers, but then also benchmarks for what you should be able to achieve within that. So with that said, let's dive into the ways that we can actually increase LTV. So there are 3 different ways. The first one is get customers to purchase more products from you. Sounds very simple, but the amount of businesses that don't do this is very, very surprising. So how do we actually do it? The first way is you should have a post-purchase email flow set up that takes customers through a journey and sells other products you have available to them, okay? So this is a no-brainer. The key with this is to have complementary products in your lineup so that cross-selling is easy to achieve. You want to make sure to wait until your customers have received and tried or used your product before selling them on the additional products, right? You don't want to send them an email saying like, hey, buy this, when they haven't even received your product, right? That's going to leave a bad taste in their mouth. And this will make the customer experience better by waiting, right? By waiting until they receive and try the product, and more likely for the customer to purchase more products from you, assuming that they had a great experience with the first product they purchased. So think about from the frame of mind from your customer, right? Wait until they receive the product, wait until they tried it. And if the product is good, which, hopefully it is and it should be, then the customer is going to be very satisfied, especially within those first few days of trying it. That is the best time to reach out to that customer and introduce them to other products that you're selling, right? Because their experience is great so far, and they're still in kind of this, I guess you can call it like a high of like receiving the product and trying it and that kind of new, novel experience. So that is also a great time to, as I mentioned, introduce them to other products that they can purchase. So the second way you can get customers to purchase more products from you is launching new products to your email and SMS list. So maybe you have a product roadmap and you know that you're going to be launching new products later this year. Well, launch those products to your email and SMS list. Do a whole strategy behind that, a warm-up, a tease, a big launch, some follow-ups, because that's going to allow you to squeeze out a lot of revenue from those launches by leveraging your existing customers. So aside from email and SMS, there are other means of getting customers to purchase more products from you. Loyalty programs to encourage more purchases, hosting a community for your customers like a Facebook group, running retargeting ads to those customers with ads for other products, direct mail, and more, right? These are just some other ways that you can do this. And essentially, it's all about staying in front of your customers to be able to sell them other products. A key part of this strategy is of course having additional products to sell to your customers in the first place. And expanding your product line is a key part of continuing to scale your brand. So if you do not yet have a product roadmap, I would highly advise you to put one in place. Because as I mentioned, if you don't have other products that you can introduce, then it's going to be very, very difficult to continue scaling, even when it comes to acquisition, because you might need to introduce new products to reach newer segments of the market to acquire new customers, right? Not just in terms of LTV that we're talking about here. So there's multiple ways that expanding your product line is going to help you. Okay, so let's talk about the second way to increase LTV, and that is get customers to buy the same thing from you more frequently. All right, so now we're talking about frequency. While this is mainly applicable to consumable products that need to be replaced, if you don't sell a consumable product, you can actually get creative here and do something with a product that I guess is not as consumable. For example, if you sell t-shirts, maybe I purchase one of the t-shirts on the first purchase, and then I come back and buy 3 more of the same color. Say you're selling black t-shirts. I come back and buy more of the same color, and I'm purchasing more of the same product in this case. And when it comes to increasing purchase frequency, the most effective way to ensure this happens is with a subscribe and save program. We have many clients who have a subscribe and save option, and the compounding revenue from this offer is unmatched. So if you can introduce a subscribe and save option for your products, it's really a no-brainer, something you must do. And again, if you don't have a consumable product, you can still introduce a subscribe and save option. You just need to be creative with it. And I created a video going through the top 3 mistakes that e-com brand owners make when it comes to subscribe and save programs, which can be found on my channel. So make sure, check out that video after this one to make sure that you're not making the same mistakes and shortcut your way to a successful subscribe and save program, right? It's gonna save you a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of headache. Increasing LTV, number 3, affiliate marketing, right? This is more out of the box for sure, but what I mean by this is that you refer your customers to complementary products or services that can benefit them, and in return, you get a commission on every sale you drive, right? So this is more of a wild card, but it does work. For example, let's just say that you're selling skincare that is customized to the customer's skin type, current skin problems, and desired outcome. After that customer has been with you for 2 months, you may send them an email referring them to find a local dermatologist to do a checkup on their skin improvement progress. And these are dermatologists that you have connections with. So this is a separate additional service that the dermatologist provides. So it costs you nothing, and you get a referral kickback commission from the transaction between your customer and the dermatologist. There are tons of ways you can do this, and you can really get creative. Just make sure that you structure the deals with the businesses that you refer people to beforehand, and you have a clear way to track which customers you're referring to those businesses. It could be a discount code, it could just be by the name of the customer, right? Name, email address, whatever identifier of the customer that comes into that business that you're referring them to, that is a way to track that transaction. And the cool thing is, if the product or service you're referring the customers to is really good and genuinely helps your customer, which by the way, it should be, they will associate the value that they received from the other business with you and your business, okay? So even though they're not shopping with you and you're getting the kickback referral, the value and the goodwill is being increased between you and that customer. If, and this is the really important if the service or the product that you're referring the customers to is really good and genuinely helps the customer, they're going to associate that value with you. So those are the 3 ways to increase LTV for your Shopify store. Hope this video was helpful, and start putting those benchmarks in place, right? The first thing you should do, and actually something that I forgot to go through, is how do you actually calculate LTV, right? We use Lifetimely, right? This is an app on Shopify. You install this, it's going to help you calculate your lifetime value, because honestly, LTV is quite difficult to calculate. It's quite complex. There's a lot of things that go into it, and every business is different. So you want to use something like this to help you with those numbers. So basically, the first thing you should do is know what your LTV numbers are, right? With something like Lifetimely. Once you know what they are, start setting benchmarks and goals. And then once you have the benchmarks and goals, start rolling out the 3 ways that I talked about in this video to get you towards those goals. So, as I mentioned, that's all for this video. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next one.